Okay, so today I'm going to be showing how to reupholster your first generation Mustang back seats. So, as a lot of people who are current Mustang owners may or may not know, you can buy an interior kit from places like CJ Pony Parts, TMI Upholstery, and you'll be in the middle of your restoration not knowing what parts exactly you ordered because you bought a kit up to a year ago. And you finally start doing the back seats and you're wondering, wait a second, where's all of my back seat foam? And you come to find out that, well, it's not there. Why is it not there? Because it's a little bit different than the front seats. So this is actually your quote-unquote seat foam. And so this is pretty much just like cotton batting, which, as you can see, is number one, not a whole lot of foam. Like, that's about 1.5 inches thickness. Number two, it is filled with tons of layers of cotton and fluff and canvas. So it's, number one, next to impossible to really ship and pack, because if the shipping carrier really plays around with this stuff, you know, it can easily lose its shape. So I think also because it's technically not traditional thickness for foam, it just wasn't worth a manufacturer's time to make a kit like this. So obviously, as you can see, my original interior is very yucky. It was definitely an apartment complex for mice. So for health reasons, I don't really want to put this stuff back in my car. So I'm going to show essentially what I did for the back part of the seat, which is underneath all of that right now. You'll see later. And I'm just going to apply the technique I used for that onto the bottom of the back seat here, and you can kind of use that as a point of reference and see how this all went. Okay, so as you all may notice, I obviously have some foam here. This is about an average of 1 inch thick. This is actually technically pretty budget of me, so I got this foam from a shipping box that my mom got in the mail for something she bought for the house. So what I originally did with the back part of this seat was I used 1 inch thick foam. Pretty much look just like this. It's the same material foam. This foam is, I don't want to say memory foam, but it's pretty soft, and it returns back relatively slowly. I just can't replicate that right now. The density is not what you would expect from the look of it. It's actually pretty dense. So I bought 1 inch of that, and then 1/2 inch sheet, which, oh, I actually do have some leftovers here. So this is the 1/2 inch stuff, which I had leftover trim and I used it to spray paint, and then this is the inch thick stuff. So you normally are gonna want, in the tight tolerance areas, 1.5 inches is usually best. But you know, considering that these aren't total factory replacements, you might have some loose sections of the material as to where it sits up on your seat frame. So buy extra of the 1/2 inch material, because you may place it in different sections. For example, on my seat, what I did was I did one whole sheet of 1 inch thick foam, and then from there, in the pleated areas, I added an additional 1/2 inch cutout section, and I mocked it up like that, and it was pretty good. But I did notice in all of my corners, I had some sagging that I just couldn't really pull out, because the outer frames of the seat didn't have enough cushion. So I then added another 1/2 inch wraparound around the perimeter of the back of the seat, and then I also added another 1/2 inch in the center area to also push that out additionally. So essentially all I did was I gave room for the stitches for the pleated sections so that those can sit in the material, and then 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and all the rest of it got another inch of material, and there you have it. So step one, have the seat frame, My canvas was in really good shape, decided to reuse it. If not, you could just buy canvas material over there from Michael's and cut it to fit, and yeah, double layer it if you feel like the material is too soft and stretches too much. But I had also just repainted mine. You can vouch not to do that if you feel like your car doesn't need it, but mine did, so I felt like giving it a quick coat of black. Next, cut out your foam to fit. Find out the foam you cut is extremely large. You want it large and you want it to overlap, definitely. You want more than less, but this is ridiculous. Now that the piece is cut relatively to shape, if you notice, when you go to roll it over, now you're going to have that perfect overlap and you're going to have that nice cushiony front ledge that you're going to want to make your seat look really nice. The transmission tunnel, drive shaft tunnel will likely need to be trimmed, but we'll do that later. So next up, we're going to be getting this hog ringed to the seat just so it doesn't fly off anywhere while we're doing the upholstery. Next, what you'll do, because you only have one hand again, you will fold over the foam with your leg. You will decide what hole you want to focus on putting your first hog ring in here. You'll pull this up nice and taut. You'll bite down through the foam, especially through the bend, and then continually pressing down, making sure you have one tooth into that hole. Squeeze down the hog ring tool. Hopefully it bent it and locked it into that hole. Looks like it did. And we are in business. Do that 50 times over. So I'll show you a quick I did as I hog ring this around. First, I put in my little patch of foam to keep the tunnel from making a metal on metal noise if someone's ever seated in it. I also took my overlapping foam that you saw previously. I overlapped it on the tunnel part here. Number one, to add that softener, dampener. Number two, because it needs to be tighter over here. And number three, I added it onto the inside. So I added the foam into the seat area here so that the edges will be more cushiony and that material will not be trimmed out and removed. So overall, this should give me a really good fit and finish. We're going to see what happens next. Okay, so as you guys could probably imagine, that was starting to get a little bit difficult to document and install the hog rings at the same time. Side note, this is not for the weak of arms. You wouldn't think so. You would think that these hog rings are super simple, but like the different angles that you need to contort your arms, your wrists, and the hog ring tool itself is not very ergonomic. So if you have weaker upper arms, I highly recommend getting one of the more ergonomic hog ring tools. They're a little bit more expensive, but they might be worth it. But yeah, so I did the front seats entirely by myself, put it this way. When it came time to do the rear seat, I 100% had to have my boyfriend help me to put like weight on it, to help put some of the hog rings in. So fair warning, have a second set of hands on you if you need it. At the same time too, the rear seat material obviously needs to stretch a little bit more than the front seats, and the shape of it is obviously a lot more 90-degree angles, so at the same time you want to be really careful and have a good sense of finesse. So all I have here are photos. My lines could be a little bit better, but not bad for the first try. One thing I wanted to mention, guys, is that I started with the front to try to keep that seamed line level. I really should have started in the rear more so, because when I worked around the bench seat into the rear by the trans tunnel, that pulled the center line of that up a little bit. So that is something I plan to fix at some point. As you can see, I haven't even officially, this is just mocked up in the rear of the interior. Nothing is officially installed, not even that back seat part. That's a snapshot of how far along I am with the interior right now for perspective. But yeah, another thing I did was I let this sit out in the sun on like a Sunday afternoon or something. That took out a large part of the wrinkles as well. Hope this helps you guys. Best of luck.